In fact, I may even go stand with the security guards.
No. We were in 9th grade, and in Bensonhurst Junior High School in Brooklyn. That's junior high school. In 9th grade is when you graduated, and then you go on to high school for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Every district is different in the country. In New York City, it's 9th grade. We were 9B4. 9B1, A students. 9B2, B students. 9B3, C students. 9B4, we're not sure. 9B5, Neanderthals. One guy in 9B5 loved me. I removed a thorn from his paw. Anyway, one day, Gil Mermelstein did not come to class. We called him Gil Moppo because he had his hair was like a mop. He didn't come to class.
Gil Moppo.
That was what we call him. So, Herbie Cohen, the world's greatest negotiator, Brazzi Abadi, a brain surgeon now in Buffalo, and me, we go to visit to find out, we go to his house to find out why Moppo didn't come to school. All the shades are drawn, and sitting in front of the house is a boy looking forlorn. He says he's Moppo's cousin. Moppo had developed tuberculosis. The family has taken him to Tucson to cure it. He won't be back in school for a year, so the kid is waiting. He's his only relative. The kid lives in New Jersey. He's waiting overnight to go to school to tell him Moppo won't be back. You can't leave a kid back for illness, so he's going to go on to high school. So Herbie says, well, why don't you go home? We'll tell him. Guy says, thanks, he leaves. We're walking down the street, and Herbie says, I got a fantastic idea to make money. We'll tell him Moppo died. Moppo died, yeah. It's foolproof because the kid is the only relative. He's in Jersey. Moppo's the only child. The parents have taken him to Tucson for a year. We can't miss. And what we'll do is we'll raise money, we'll get flowers and candy, and we'll go down to Nathan's, eat hot dogs. So... okay. All right. We go into the class, we bow our heads, go up to the teacher, went to Moppo's house, he's dead. The teacher calls the homeroom, homeroom calls home, phone disconnected, they record dead, and we collect $195. Okay, this is just the beginning. 2 weeks later, the principal asked to see us. Oh, my God. We're walking down the hall, I'm crying. You know, I got no father, my poor mother. Brazzi, I'll never be a doctor. I'll never be a doctor. Here's Herbie, the negotiator. No problem. I'll handle it. We had a mix-up. We'll give back the money. We'll think of something. We go into the principal's office. Instead of being ticked, he is pleased. My 3 young friends, sit down. He doesn't know us from Adam. Whoa, sit down. He says, boys, here's what happened. The New York Times wants to do a series of articles on junior high schools because they don't get any credit. High schools get all the play because they play intramural sports, and junior high schools don't. So we had a faculty meeting. What could we do? Each school was to do a project. And we heard about you and you raised money for the late Gil Mermelstein. We looked up our records. Gil Mermelstein's the only student in the history of this school to die. Most kids make it over that 14-year-old hump. He made it over. Okay. So what we're going to have, you got to hear this, we're going to have a Gil Mermelstein Memorial Assembly a week before graduation. And we're going to honor the #1 student in the school. We're going to give him or her a replica of a statue. And then we're going to build a statue in the lobby, the Gil Mermelstein Memorial, with his picture. And then every year we'll add the name of the winner. And at the assembly, we want a full school assembly. We'd like the 3 of you to sit on the stage in honor of your late friend. We should have told him. To this day, we should have told him, but we were caught up in the ego of the moment. We were, okay. Now we're walking down the hall, and we're leaving the office, and what are we going to do? We're in trouble. And Herbie goes, well, let's look at it this way. We're going to go on to high school. It's going to take a while, and someday, I know they're going to have a trophy, but look at it this way. Someday, it'll kick in. Someday, Moppo will die. And when it does, that trophy will mean something. Anyway, now it's the day. This is God's honest truth. It's the day of the Gil Moppo Memorial Assembly. Okay, the 3 of us are on stage. We're there. The principal's there speaking. The winner of the first award, and the whole school is there. And that day, that damn day, Moppo came back to school. As Herbie likes to say, in tubercular history, it's medicine's finest moment, they cure Moppo. There's only 1 week left of school. So Moppo comes, and he's got 2 ways he can enter the school. Through the side, little Chinese curtains, very quiet. Or 2 big brass doors, they lead right onto 84th Street. Moppo chooses the doors. He opens the door, and the first thing he sees is a banner. Gil Mermelstein Memorial Assembly. Moppo is not the brightest guy in the world, but he knows what memorial means. So he freezes, right? The kids in the back row spot him and immediately know the whole story. Rosie, Herbie, and Larry glommed us for $190. This is a farce. They knew it immediately because they're New York City kids. If you're a New York City kid, you're ahead, even if you're a D student in New York, you're mayor of Des Moines. You could phone it in. These kids know. Now there's panic. The principal's looking up what's going on. Herbie stands up to this day. I don't know why he does this. Stands up on stage and goes, "Go home, Moppo, you're dead." Moppo runs. There's pandemonium. The kid who wins the first award. Do I get my award? Do I get my award? The principal looks at us, his veins are coming out his neck. My office. Now he runs off. Now we're walking down again, and Herbie's saying, "Don't worry," and I'm crying and now we get into his office, and I've never seen a guy angrier in my whole life than this man. He says, "This is my worst day in my history of New York City public schools. You are suspended for life. Go down to your locker, take your stuff. You will not graduate. I'm going to recommend Rikers Island. I'm going to recommend you chop rocks until you're 18 years old. Get out of my sight." And Herbie says, "You know, you're making a big mistake." What happens is, Mr. Principal, is we're going to be suspended because we did a dumb thing. But the school board, you know, you have to have a hearing. That's a rule in New York, has to be a hearing. And at the hearing, we're going to be suspended because we did a dumb thing. But someone on the board is going to say, "Mr. Principal, 3 dumb kids come into class. They tell your kid is dead. You make one phone call, the phone is disconnected, you create an entire assembly of the Dryer Memorial. Well, I tell you what, we'll be suspended. You'll never be principal again in New York." He says, and here's the capper. He says, "So why don't we just forget the whole thing?" And the principal's whipped, and we forget the whole thing. And here's the final story, and this is true. We graduate not by name, but by size. So we don't graduate alphabetically, but by size of the student. So Moppo's right in front of Herbie, and the principal's handing out the diplomas. And 9 before, and he goes, "Gil Mermelstein." Herbie pushes him aside and said, "I'll take it, he's deceased."
The Gil Moppo, everybody.